No.
Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're at. I'm Dr. Michael Pendleton. That's Dr. Doug Mites. This is our first and probably not really good live episode video of Instagram Live on Brain Health Matters. We do have an incredible guest here who has decided to join us. His name is Ashley. He's one of our patients, and we're going to just kind of talk. We've talked in the past about him being here and what he's been through. And this guy is what I call an El Gato in Spanish, which is cat. He's got 9 lives, and I mean 9 lives. Right, Ashley?
Yes, absolutely.
So, real quick, Doctor, anything you want to add?
I think his story is going to tell it all. Then what we're going to do is look at each of our facets of working with Ashley over the last couple months and what that means to us. He's going to let you know what it means to him.
Yeah, and some cases are really hard to work on, and they take forever to fix. This was a blessing. Ashley he has a very tough case, but with incredibly fast results on something that's been going for a long time. So, just real quick, Ashley, tell us your age.
I'm 42. I'll be 42 in July. So.
40. That's next month.
Yeah.
Where you live?
I live in Blue Water, New Mexico.
Okay. And what do you do for a living?
I work at a travel center.
Travel center?
Yeah.
Okay.
Customer service, working with people every day.
Okay. So, anything you want to add in there, or do you want me to kind of read through what your mom has written up over your life history?
Yeah, I'll just do that because if I try to think about it, it's a little overwhelming.
Yeah, and so Ashley does have it's kind of like a pseudo seizure disorder. So he hasn't had one in a while, but I don't think he'll have one because we don't have anything flashing. But his memory is gone. Parts of your life, right? There's some amnesia with it. So his mom wrote up this really nice thing for us. It's in his file, but I'm going to read through this and listen intently because this is pretty incredible. But you were born on July 15th, 1981.
Yes.
He had a traumatic birth. He had his umbilical cord wrapped around his neck. He was born with a bluish gray color and unresponsive. So your mom didn't get to see you for about the first 6 hours after his birth. You lost 2 pounds in the first week, and it took a few months for you to gain any of it back. You were a very quiet baby. So at about 5 years of age, he started experiencing migraines. Especially when he would get too excited or upset, it would get him to the point of the migraines would make him vomit. In school, he had trouble reading, writing, concentrating, spelling, and had a hard time interacting with big groups of people. He also has some anger issues and can't be given more than one task at a time. That's still kind of an issue,
Yes.
correct? But you're getting better with it. So that's at 5. Now this cat is 42 years old now. So at 9 years old, he witnessed a small plane crash into some trees. He arrived at the scene, and the largest pieces were the landing wheel and a hand with a ring on it. At 16 years of age, he started using drugs and alcohol and continued a party lifestyle until 2021 when he went to rehab for 45 days. He started drinking again when he got out and then quit in September of 2021. At age 19, so we're going back a little bit in time now. Age 19 or 20, he was with a girlfriend when she was hit by a car.
Yes.
Yeah. And she sustained injuries. He witnessed another friend overdose. He also had a friend from being on the street because you were homeless for that 45 days or longer.
Oh, no, it was
5 years, sorry, wrong that one. So he's homeless for 45 days. So unfortunately, he did witness a friend overdose on drugs. Another friend died in the street on your arms?
Yeah,
Or was it the same one?
It was 5 years that I was homeless.
Okay. He was heavy with fentanyl, heroin, meth, and alcohol all while he was homeless for that 5-year period. So here's where it gets crazy. In 2019, he got stabbed through his lung. We're actually over here.
I said,
Got stabbed in the lung. Sorry, lost my spot. It nicked the aortic valve in his heart. I mean, that's really specific. Well, from that caused an aneurysm that happened later on. He continued to have heavy drug use, caused an infection in his blood, and the valve was hanging on by a thread. He had valve replacement surgery and until the infection cleared, and that was in July of 2021. In January of 2022, he had what the doctors thought was a few strokes, till the test showed an old stroke while under sedation during the heart surgery. And that stroke is on his right side, right here, right, what we call a parietal lobe. He's had, for about 6 months, he had several epileptic seizures. And since then, he's had several pseudo seizures, and medication has only made things worse, correct?
Yes.
So he's not on any medication.
Zero.
Yeah. Anything you want to add to that history, Ashley?
I think that pretty much covered the long story short.
Okay. Doctor, anything you want to add?
Well, when did we first see Ash? When was that? Was that January or February?
It was around that time, yes.
Yeah.
I don't have the exact time. We're trying to find it on our screen here. But it's this year.
Yes, this year, just a couple months ago. And so my portion of the workup was to do what's called a quantitative electroencephalograph. And what that does is it measures the brain's signature when it comes to electricity, basically. So we're looking for too much electricity in some places, too little in other places. The ideal situation would be to see brain waves work together between the left and the right brain and work at just the right amount of amplitude or power. So we looked for that type of thing in Ashley. Found a couple of areas where the brain wasn't regulating itself properly the way it should.
And was that at the area where his stroke was, which again was this upper right side here?
His was mostly in the back of the brain, which is where visual processing is. There was some in the front too, but actually that middle section was spared.
It didn't correlate to the stroke area. That's what I'm asking.
Which is interesting because oftentimes we'll have people come in with what I am sure positive might be anxiety, but then we look at the brain map and we go, nope, missed that one.
No.
So the brain map can tell us really what's going on.
In general, do you remember what his showed? Besides that back of the brain, under processing or over processing?
I would say over processing.
Over processing.
No, that's what was weird. Over processing in some areas, but under processing in others, because the brain decided, hey, you know what, we need more power here to recover, and less power over here. So it can figure that out, and that part of it was working.
So my initial diagnosis on Ashley, I'm gonna read this from my chart here. So number 1 is a cerebral infarction. Number 2 is a post-concussional syndrome. Because you remember how many times you've had concussions?
I do not.
Many. Benign paroxysmal vertigo in his right ear. He also had a diffuse traumatic brain injury with loss of consciousness that lasted over 30 minutes, but actually an unspecified duration. And lastly, we diagnosed him with a generalized idiopathic epilepsy and epileptic syndrome, not intractable and not status epilepticus, which is a bunch of big words with it. So basically, Ashley's EEGs were inconclusive of seizure. I've seen a couple of them, but we've gotten really lucky, and we can get him out of it. And now we've taught Ashley how to do a few things with. He covers. You want to show him what you do?
Yeah, cover my left nostril. And breathe in, belly breathing through my belly.
And what's the numbers? How many seconds in?
3 seconds in, 7 seconds out.
Bingo. And the next thing you do?
The next thing I do figure eights. So with full arm motion, figure eights. And I do it about 25 times. And just keep my eye focused on one particular area and just not pay attention to my hand with full strokes. And I do about 25 of those, and it helps calm me down.
Yeah.
That, and then another one you showed me was the rock, paper, scissors. So in my head, I have to say rock, paper, scissors, rock, paper, scissors. And I also do that 25 times. I don't know why I picked the number 25. It just seems to help. So in the middle of that, or after the 25, I'll switch hands. Rock, paper, scissors. And usually I have a little bit of a more difficult time on my left side, but it seems to be getting easier the more I practice.
Yeah. And that kind of goes along a little bit with his right-sided stroke issues. It will affect the left side of the body. But I got to tell you that we got pretty lucky with Ashley because we can stop his seizure. And he kind of goes into what we call an absent seizure and an atonic seizure. He doesn't go into, seizure like a grand mal, but he kind of checks out and he gets kind of tight and tonic or hypertonic. So it's pretty cool that we figured that out. But one of the main things that we did with him is on that diagnosis is he had from all of his concussions and then going on, his vestibular system was so out of whack. So when Ashley would walk, I don't have the video of it. It would be really nice, but he would walk, but his arms wouldn't swing, and he'd walk like he was almost like on hot coals, or he didn't know where he was at in space. Am I correct in saying that?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. It was very difficult for me just to think of my left foot going and then my right foot going, because as soon as I would start thinking about it, I'd get confused, and I just wouldn't almost not want to walk at all.
Yeah. So it took all of his concentration to do something that's simple for us, or what we call reflexogenic, and that's just have a gait or a normal walk. So what I did to him, I said, I actually now try to just walk and do opposite leg, opposite arm, and that was really difficult for you. Like he would, what we call would freeze. His brain would just go, I can't. It wouldn't process. But as we've gone through this, he's gotten much better. But one of the things I did with him initially, because Dr. Meinz and I are working at the same time, because you're doing neurofeedback with him.
Exactly.
And I'll let you tell everybody what you're doing with him, and then I'll tell you real quick what I did with him. We've done not a lot, but the main thing was in his right inner ear, our inner ears, we have these canals, things called semicircular canals. And in his posterior one, he had what I thought was this benign proximal positional vertigo from all his concussions. So when I put his head back to the right, leaning off to the table, he had quite a bit of symptoms. He almost seizured. He did get a little dizzy. Do you remember that one? Yeah, got pretty dizzy. So we did a canal repositioning maneuver, and I think I did that maybe 4 or 5 times on him. And what it did, it recalibrated his right inner ear and his left inner ear, so his brain could say, all right, I'm equal, and here I'm in space, and all of a sudden he started to be able to walk, not like he was walking on coal, or that he could just walk and do things. So one of those things he did was that rock, paper, scissors. This is a sequencing activity. When he starts to sequence like that, that really got his brain couldn't do it, but after we got his vestibular system in balance, boom, that started coming back. And I will say proudly, and thank God, you had incredible results with this. So I've done some of that stuff. I've done some left brain activation. We work with Ashley once to twice a week. We've been doing that for, again, 4 or 5 months. And Dr. Meinz, I want you to say what you've been doing with Ashley.
And also chiropractic care too.
Correct. He's been getting adjustments by me, and he's fun to adjust because he makes a lot of noise.
And he loves it.
Yeah.
He absolutely loves it. What I was helping Ashley with was the emotional side of the house. So the limbic system is housed right between your ears for the most part, and fear and anger and all of those, maybe resentment, regret, all of those types of things. I'm sure Ashley's gone through every one of those and more. And the biggest thing I saw change in you, Ashley, was just your ability to communicate. Went from 0 to 100 miles an hour pretty darn fast. But then it would waffle. It would go backwards a little bit. One of the things I was really proud of you for was confronting the people you work with. That's been a more recent thing.
Yes.
And I think that's happening because the confidence in yourself has gone way up.
Through the roof.
You've established some relationships with people you never thought you could reestablish relationship with. And that would be who?
Yeah, my children.
Yes, exactly, the kids. And I remember you coming to the office and said, I want one thing. I just want a relationship with my kids.
Yes.
That was a big deal.
Yes.
That was huge. And whenever I mention family or kids to you, you just light up like a Christmas tree. So cravings are down. Sleep is better. I mean, a lot of things have changed. And I believe it's changed because you wanted them to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's huge. You have to have that. And you're also working full-time? Almost full-time?
Part-time right now, but
okay.
Yeah, 3 days a week right now.
Cool.
And you bought your own place to live since then?
Yes, I bought my own.
Yeah.
Oh, that's new to me.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Yeah, I bought
Right
a
on. Sweet.
camper from my parents, and
Yeah.
I finally paid it off a couple weeks ago.
Nice.
Yeah, so I own my own spot, and
Cool.
really,
And there's another thing, too, that I saw within the first 6 or 7 sessions anyway. People who've been through that many concussions, that much trauma, have a really difficult time tuning in or engaging in.
Concentrating, focusing.
Yeah, and the neurofeedback. Well, I thought you would be one of those guys.
Yeah.
It totally wasn't true. So I started making the videos that we watch a little bit more comprehensive every time. And I thought, yeah, he's probably not going to get much of this. Well, after we discussed it, when we were doing discussion of what you were watching, man, you had every single point. Do you want the notes on that? And you go, nah, I got it. So I would send each of the videos home, and he'd watch them again and again and again. Come back the next session and tell me what he watched. So most people can't do that.
And Ashley's one of the best patients you can do. Everything you ask him to do, he does it and then some. He's got motivation. It makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Ashley, anything you want to add?
I just want to add to everybody out there that anything that you're going through or have been through, there's always hope besides the medical, pharmaceutical side of it, because that is a road that's just not helpful at all and very depressing.
It wasn't helpful for you.
Not at all. Not for me anyway, I'm saying. But coming here, since I've been here, I just have a new outlook on life. Everything in my life is being more positive because of coming here and doing the things that they have asked me to do. Like they said that I'm doing it because I'm driven, is because everything that they've asked me to do, I feel better when I do it. Mm-hmm. You know, from the videos we watch to the tricks, all the balancing, and even within the walking one. Yeah, it was just everything.
Yeah, we do a little balance exercise with Ashley, and he stands on one leg and does a little, we call a Charleston dance move. So, yeah, continue. I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's all. It's just my life has changed tremendously.
Yeah, I mean, that's if we review things and you look at the broad spectrum of brain injuries, and you have acquired brain injuries and you have traumatic brain injuries. Ashley has all of them. I mean, he has a stroke, which is acquired brain injury. He had, which came from a valve issue. He was in a coma, drug use. Those are all toxins to the brain, and then he had multiple concussions. But again, this guy is truly blessed. I cannot believe the improvement in him, and we want that on all of our patients. So, lastly, Doctor,
I've got a question for Ashley. So you've gone through all this stuff. What was the last straw? What finally made you decide, man, I got to do something here, or I'm never going to see my kids again?
I was actually, when I was homeless, I was in a dumpster eating, because it's just I had to survive. And I just remember crying when I was eating and just thinking, there's got to be a better way. And I was just so sad, and it was one of the saddest times of my life. But if I think about it now, it gives me joy, because I'm more grateful and appreciative for things that I have in my life: a running water, a fridge to have food, a job to have money in my pocket, and relationship with my children and my family. And I just remember after that day when I was eating out of the trash can, I went to a gas station and used the restroom, and there was a mirror, and I just looked in the mirror, and I did not like what I saw. I just broke down completely, and I was like, you know what? I'm calling my mother. And at that same day, I called my mom and said, Mom, look, this is exactly what's going on. She knew I was homeless and on the streets, but I said, look, I'm on heroin, fentanyl, meth, alcohol, very, very bad, and I can't live like this anymore. And she said, why don't you come home for a little bit and just see how things go? And right away I was like, well, maybe I'll come down, maybe, trying to make excuses. And sure enough, she came to get me. And when she came to get me...
were you in Phoenix at that time?
Yes, yeah. I was homeless in Phoenix. Good. Very warm. Mm-hmm. And Mom came to get me so I could come home. Well, a series of events unfolded then, because I told my mother that she was waiting for me at a gas station, and I said, I'm going to go say bye to some friends. And I went and used fentanyl, smoked some fentanyl with them. And when I went to the restroom in the gas station, I passed out in the restroom. So my mom has no clue where I am or what's going on. And next thing I know, police officers are coming in. And when they asked me for my ID, I pulled my wallet out, and a bag of meth fell out. And so they arrested me, and I was resisting, I guess. So next thing my mom sees is me coming out of the gas station in handcuffs with a broken nose from the police officers. So she's freaking out at the time. And I went to jail. And I just remember looking at my mom and said, please don't leave, because I knew I was going to maybe go home. Please don't leave, and crying very bad. And so I went to jail. She went back to New Mexico. And then 4 days later, my dad came to pick me up. And that was when I was just like, you know what? This is enough. You have put your family through very hard times and yourself, and I just can't do it anymore. So when Dad came to get me, I made the pact that I was just going to get better. We came home. I saw my whole entire family. And 2 weeks later, I was on an airplane to Van Alstyne, Texas, to a 45-day treatment program for rehab.
Right on. And we've talked about this in the past, Dr. Mines and I, but family support, and he has the best family support. And people who have family support really do have the best outcomes. So other than that, I think that's it for our first Instagram Live. We hope it came out right. We had a great cat here for our first guest live. And finally, if anybody can use our help, please contact us. Should be a contact link here on Instagram. And other than that, this is Brain Health Matters. I'm Dr. Michael Pendleton.
Dr. Doug Mines.
Ashley Van Landingham.
And Ashley, have a great day. And coming up, happy 4th of July. See ya.